Hello and welcome to the Alula webinar. My name is Kevin Hoffman. I am the Content Marketing Manager for Alula, and today we are talking about BAT-Connect and Touchpad Updates, new features, benefits, and panel compatibility. So on the agenda today, we're going to first do some introductions, then we're going to compare BAT LTE with BAT-Connect, then we're going to look at some of the just released features for BAT-Connect that are results of our most recent firmware push. We'll look at some really cool features that are coming soon. Then we're going to give you a sneak preview of our new talking touchpad functionality. We're going to cap that off with some additional firmware updates and always save time for your live Q&A there at the end. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Alula, let me just give you a quick 10,000-foot view of the company. We're the result of a merger in 2017 between IP Datatel and Resolution Products. We have more than a dozen engineers, executives, and other key employees who had deep roots in ITI, GE Security, and Interlogix. We've got 12 years of trusted and reliable security hardware and platform innovation. We've created game-changing technologies, including translators in the first IP-focused alarm communications network. And that's allowed us to become one of the industry's most comprehensive security platforms. We're an all-in-one company, from the sensors to the network to the hub to the app. We are providing the entire suite of services that you and your customers need for home security, automation, and video. Joining us today will be Chris Bartholomew. He is a sales engineer at Alula. He's got 20 years of experience in the security industry. He worked for ITI, GE Security, UTC Fire and Security, and DMP. He joined Alula in September of 2019. He's skilled in sales, management, troubleshooting, and training, and is our leading expert on BAT-Connect installation and servicing. Chris, welcome to the webinar.
Kevin, how are you doing? Happy to be here.
I'm doing well, Chris. Thank you for asking. Let's get right into it. So we've recently launched the BAT-Connect product. It's the successor to the very successful BAT LTE product. We refer to them here as the legacy BAT products. You may have also heard of the BAT CDMA. Chris, why don't you talk a little bit about the BAT-Connect and how it compares to its predecessors?
Yeah, Kevin, would love to talk about that. So really, we've had the BAT LTE and the BAT Wi-Fi released for a number of years. Dealers generally very happy with it, but it lacks quite a bit of the features of the new BAT-Connect. And really, with the features that we have just released and that we're going to release here in early March, there really is no reason to keep looking to stock the legacy BATs anymore. You know, some of the highlights in my mind are the home automation option, the Z-Wave option that you have with the BAT-Connect, and the triple path communication. With the BAT LTE, it was a great product, but it was cellular and Ethernet. It didn't give you the Wi-Fi option. We had a separate communicator for that. So really, we have the best of both worlds with the BAT-Connect. You have the triple path with the Wi-Fi, the Ethernet, the cellular, and also it is category M1 ready, which basically means it is 4G/5G compatible right out of the box. We also have the option to use our touchpad as well with the BAT-Connect. One area that we were kind of lacking with the BAT-Connect, and we've addressed that with firmware updates, where I would say, okay, you want to look at the BAT LTE if you needed the virtual keypad for various panels that we support. Well, we've since addressed that with our DSC line, and very soon we're addressing that with our, but our compatibility with the networks line as well. So once again, for the same price, you get much more capability with the BAT-Connect than you do with the legacy BAT LTE.
And you mentioned some of those new firmware updates we pushed. Why don't we walk through some of the new features that are available in version .1.8.0.
Yeah, so this was pushed right around the end of January, and this brought a lot of really neat features. One that we had been missing for a while on BAT-Connect was key switch arming. So we have a long list of panels that we're compatible with, but it's not every panel in the marketplace. So let's say you had a panel, 1985 that's still out there chugging along and up and running. We can offer those really older panels or obscure panels an option to key switch arm, which is a simple arm disarm, and all that panel needs on their end is the ability to send us with a programmable output, and most hardwired panels have these capabilities with either a relay or an open collector output. Just give us the arming status on the output. That goes into the BAT-Connect, and then out of the BAT-Connect, we have an output on the BAT-Connect that simply wires to a hardwired zone on that panel, and you just simply program that for key switch operations. So now we can give that old panel, or a panel not on our full compatibility list, we can give them ARM, disarm, video through our touchpad and the app, and also home automation. So quite an upgrade for the existing system that's currently in the home or the business. So that was the key switch arming. We also enabled a feature that a lot of dealers have been waiting for, push notification basically for disarmed activity. Okay, so I want to know when the front door is open, the garage door is open, the pool gate's open, whatever zone you want. Now it's selectable in the app by individual zone. So it's not just, hey, all my delay doors. I just want to know about the pool gate, the garage door. And it's regardless of arming conditions. So think disarm notification now with a push. We've also added the virtual keypad option for Honeywell panels. So where this plays big for dealers is on those systems with multi-partitions. The BAT does an excellent job without the virtual keypad of controlling partition 1. We also have user code management. We can look at the history buffer. You don't need the virtual keypad for that. And a lot of dealers would use the legacy BAT in virtual keypad mode to change user codes, to look at the buffer. You don't need that. The BAT does an excellent job itself, the BAT-Connect without the virtual keypad. But for those dealers and those end users that need to arm and disarm partition 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, the virtual keypad is a great option for that. So we've always had that capability on Alula Connect for the installer. If you want to remote program, add more delay time, add a zone, you could certainly do that with the virtual keypad on Alula Connect, but now we offer it in the app for the end users as well. So the panels that we are AUI compatible with, and basically that gives you the full app experience, we now can give you a virtual keypad, give the end user a virtual keypad for jumping in and out of those other partitions also. Okay. And just as a refresher, the panels that typically the AUI feature has, and if you're not familiar with Honeywell and AUI, think the Tuxedo touchscreen. That was typically where you would program or put a Honeywell Tuxedo touchscreen on the AUI. We actually use AUI number 2 is how the BAT communicates with those Honeywell panels, the Vista 15, 20, 21 IP, SafeWatch 3000, and I'm going to keep the cat in the bag for just a little bit longer. We've got another panel we're going to talk about compatibility with that is coming real soon, but we'll save that one for later. So hang tight for that. We also added the option for two-way voice on either DSC or Honeywell. Those DSC and Honeywell panels that can offer two-way voice, we can now send the signal to the central station, and they can interact with the end user either on an Ethernet or a Wi-Fi connection. Remember, the BAT has Ethernet and Wi-Fi built in. Another feature we've just recently added, the ability to read and absorb the existing zone names on Alula Connect. Prior to this feature update, it wasn't a huge deal, but this makes it even more convenient. The way that you used to have to learn in the zones to the BAT-Connect panel was you had to manually trip the zones, and on a larger install, you had to maybe get your exercise and walk around and go trip the zones. Now on power up of the BAT-Connect, we automatically read and absorb those existing zone names on the Honeywell Vista line.
Chris, that's a lot of information, so let's go ahead and dive deeper on some of these new pieces of functionality. Talk to me about how the mobile app adapts to the BAT-Connect.
Yeah, so I just gave you, kind of a long-winded explanation of a lot of these features, but if we want to break it down and actually see a screenshot of what the key switch arm and disarm would look like on a panel, you can see here from the screenshot, we've just got a simple arm and a disarm icon. Added a camera on there. I can also add, like we mentioned, Z-Wave as well. So a feature that the legacy BATs, we had the arm and the disarm, the key switch arm and disarm, but we didn't have the ability to do the home automation. So we've now since brought that to the BAT-Connect as well, the key switch arm and disarm.
Okay. And then this is something that launched just a few weeks ago. I've been playing with it myself. Gives you a lot more control over the app. So how does this work?
Yeah, I just mentioned it, the ability to go into the app and select via individual zone. The ability to, here in this case, we clicked on the front door, and we have the option to get the notification either on bypass. And the other cool thing here is do chime on close, chime on open, chime on close, and then when I want those notifications. And one other thing we added, if you look at the fine print up on top of the slide here, it says when lock activity occurs. So we also have the ability to send you a push notification via individual Z-Wave lock on a unlock, a lock, or a jam condition. You know, a lot of times I'll forget to shut my garage door tight where I've got my Z-Wave lock, and I can hear the lock kind of going in and out or attempting to. You know, it's in a jam condition. You know, kid forgets to shut the front door tightly, you can get notified of that as well. So a really nice feature to add as well.
Yeah, that's great, especially those chime on close and chime on open. You can get that kind of auditory signal as to which part of your house is being entered. But we can talk a little bit more about that later. For now, you mentioned that virtual keypad support. So this looks like it's showing us how that would work.
Yeah, see here we're hooked up to a Honeywell Vista panel. So a couple things to note here. This is a fully compatible Vista panel. You can see that we've got our zone names here. They were pulled. That's a new feature that we have, so I didn't have to walk around and trip those zone names. If you look closely where the red arrow is on the slide, the upper right icon, that's where the end user would press and up would pop the virtual keypad experience. So you see this, the screenshot on the far right is when the customer presses that icon in the far right on the home screen, up will pop the virtual keypad. Okay, and like we mentioned before, other than partition jumping, you know, the BAT does a great job of, you know, we've talked about before, arming and disarming partition 1, code management, looking at the history buffer. I don't need to hop into the virtual keypad to do that, although if you were comfortable doing that from a Honeywell keypad, you could certainly do that via the virtual keypad itself. But really the big thing here is jumping partitions.
It's slick, man. So we've also got some stuff coming first week of March, so just right around the corner. So this is our next big firmware update. Chris, why don't you walk us through all the new features that we're going to get out of that?
Yeah, so just to reiterate, remember the features that I just talked about, they're available now, okay, with the firmware update. Towards the end of the presentation, if you're not familiar with how we do firmware updates, we'll go through that in detail. Not a hard process at all, but those features are currently released. The next big slate of features that we have ready for release, think early, we're hopefully shooting for the first part of March, hopefully first week of March. We're going to give you the long-awaited Interlogix NX panel support with the virtual keypad. So two really important things coming. We'll give you the full bus experience, which is going to give you the full Alula app experience, arm, disarm, code management, everything. Plus, you'll have the option to do the virtual keypad. So a real cool feature there. Another thing a lot of dealers have been waiting on, virtual keypad support for DSC panels. So we've had it for Honeywell for quite a while through Alula Connect. Now we're adding it on Alula Connect for DSC as well as for the end user. So we've got virtual keypad, Honeywell, DSC, and soon to be NX. Okay. Another feature that we're adding that we've been waiting on is partition reporting other than partition 1 to the central station. So for a while, the BAT was only able to send partition 1 information. Now we can send all partition information to the central station. And another nice feature of Alula Connect, our website, is let's say, especially on a BAT scenario, you know, you may or may not be able to get into, let's say it's a Honeywell panel, and you know, you're not quite sure what the account number is, you don't want to roll a tech out there to figure it out. You can override what's the account number that's in the panel currently, and we'll use whatever you type in on Alula Connect. So a nice feature there, not only the ability to override the panel account number, but to report the other partitions that may or may not be in that panel to the central station. Okay. We talked about in the current firmware update that we now can read zones from the Honeywell panel. We are adding that capability to capture zones on the DSC panel. Couple words of caution here. In order to do this on the DSC panel, a PC link cable is required to do that. So those folks that are familiar with the DSC upload downloading that they use with their native software, which, by the way, we are able to use that functionality. You can use DLS5 on a DSC panel with the PC link cable. So perhaps you're already getting this cable anyway, but we do need the PC link cable to pull the zone names, as well as leave one native keypad on the DSC system so that we can pull the zone names from the DSC keypads. Those DSC folks on the call today are aware probably that on DSC the zone names are stored in the DSC keypad, so we recommend, and you will need to have one DSC keypad on site. We recommend that really with any panel that we're working with. It's always a good idea to leave at least one native keypad. You can leave it in the can if you want, wired up, stick it in the can, wherever the panel's mounted. But always a good idea to have at least one keypad anyway, simply for the fact that, our touchpads are compatible with a lot of panels, but, we don't use our native touchpad to go in and give more delay time to a Honeywell panel. Okay, you're going to need a native keypad to do that. Yeah, you could hit it remotely with the virtual keypad on the website. You could use Compass software. There's a lot of ways to do this, but still a good idea to keep one keypad on site just in case. And we do need it to pull those zone names on DSC. Last bulletin point on this slide, another one a dealers have been waiting for, is we are adding Vista 128 support. So though typically the 128 is going into a larger commercial application, we are adding Vista 128 support with the next firmware update as well.
Excellent. We've got some updates for BAT and Connect Plus as well.
Yes, we do. So the features that we previously talked about were pretty much just BAT specific, but we are updating the user interface, and we're actually adding a lot of nice features to the touchscreen as well. So I'm kind of quickly just going to go over these bulletin points here, because we're going to, as we go further into the presentation, we'll dig a little bit deeper into each one of these spots. But we're going to simplify the user interface. We're going to not totally change how we arm, but basically, if the system were already disarmed, we're not going to show you the disarmed icon again. It's kind of confusing for some end users that, previously there existed an option to do what you've already done. So we've cleaned that up a little bit. We've typically, on just about every interface that we have, whether it be the app or the touchscreen, a lot of the functionality was the same, but now we're making it even clearer across all Connect product lines. So whether it be a Connect Plus, a BAT-Connect, the touchpad. We're going to talk about a new feature coming out for Interlogic Simon panels. They're the bottom the same user experience, really helpful for the end user. You don't have to teach them, hey, here's how you use the app, but here's another interface for the touchscreen. Doesn't work like that. Same user interface across all Connect products. BATs, Connect Plus, and we're going to talk about a new product we've got coming out, like I said, for the Interlogic Simon panels. Same user interface. Next thing to talk about, voice on the touchpads. This is a really nice feature across all product lines that you'll see coming up, but especially Chime on the BAT-Connect. So we're able to offer Chime now on DSC, on Honeywell, on networks, and as you're going to see, that's via individual zone type. So think my keypad's going to talk if I want it to, and I'll get Chime on my DSC, my Honeywell, through the touchpad as well. Okay. Another feature is, the touchscreen can be as, I don't want to say complex, but you can put a lot on there as an end user. I can put video on there. I can put home automation on there. I can put the history buffer. You can put whatever you want on there and customize it. But for a lot of commercial installations, maybe all that noise, if you will, on the touchscreen can be kind of confusing. You can get rid of it and just put it in what we call simple or commercial mode, just basic. You'll just see basically arm and disarm as options there, and you'll see screenshots of that as we go on. Okay. And lastly, we're going to give you the option to have pre-populated wallpaper show up on the touchpad. Some really nice scenes. You'll see a couple shots of it coming up. But instead of just seeing a blank touchscreen, you can mix it up a little bit and get some, most of them are nature shots, the ocean, forest, waterfalls. They look kind of neat. So you'll see that on the following slides.
Excellent. So while we're talking here about the touchpad, we've got some UI updates for it as well.
Yeah, so some of these, like I said, I kind of give you the 10,000-foot overview, but here's some screenshots of what we've got coming with the new release. So if you look closely in the middle here, you'll see that we've got stay, away, and night as an option. And disarmed is not there anymore because I'm currently disarmed, right? So we took away some of the confusion and cleaned some of that up a little bit.
And this is that talking functionality that you're talking about.
Yeah, right, Kevin. I'm actually beta testing this right now, and it's really nice, the customization that you can do. If you want it to talk all the time, you certainly can. It's great because it's by individual touchpad. So in my master bedroom, I don't really want that one talking all the time. I'm hardly in there anywhere except at night, and at night I don't want it talking for a lot of things. But my touchpad near the front door, yeah, I want to know when somebody presses the doorbell. I want to know when a Z-Wave command comes on and off. I want to know by a chime. All of those things can be completely customizable. You can adjust the volume level of the talking. So if you look closely at the slide here, yeah, it'll talk. But if you look to the right, a nice feature, you see quiet hours. So, okay, I don't want my touchpad to talk from, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. You can set up quiet time where it won't. That way you don't have to always come and go, yeah, I want the chime on, but I got to come in here and turn the chime on and off for each. No. Just set up quiet time, and that's probably going to handle most of the scenario where, yeah, during the day, customer probably wants a chime on. At night, they don't. Just set up quiet time, and then you can just leave it alone, and it's good to go. But if you look at the far right screenshot, you'll see how in-depth and customizable you can make this. Talk to me on arm and disarm, when there's an alarm, panel status changes, zone status changes, somebody hits the doorbell, somebody turns a light on. So you can get very, very specific with the talking, adjust the volume, and do the quiet hours as well.
Yeah, that is very cool. And looks like we've got some additional updates. I think this is the icon-based arming that we talked about.
Yeah, this is icon-based arming, right? So we mentioned before that you don't have the option to disarm here because you're already disarmed, right? And the other thing that it does is it adapts to the type of panel that we have. So on a DSC arming levels are different from Honeywell arming levels, which is different from NX arming levels. If it's a fully compatible panel that we're working with, we're going to show you the specific arming types for each type of panel. Okay. We mentioned the touchpad being able to chime for the BAT-Connect. It certainly can here. Here's where you would adjust that. It's in settings. If you've played with our touchpad before, you know that settings is kind of where we go into customized things. So it would be settings and then sound. And by the way, not just anybody can walk up and adjust these. We're going to require a user code so the kids can't mess with it or people that shouldn't be. So a lot of these settings are user code managed that you got to have the right authority to do it. Okay, so we talked about that simple mode where the screen is not cluttered, especially in a commercial application. We just see stay, away, and night. We don't have zone history. We don't have cameras. We don't have Z-Wave things, although you certainly could. This is an option to turn on and off.
You had mentioned the wallpaper, so here's an example of that.
Yeah, really nice. It just kind of randomly adjusts if you want it to. You can have a dark screen on the right where it says, okay, it's 3 o'clock and my system is disarmed. All right, if you want it to be a low light scenario, you could certainly do this. You could have it go totally dark, like in a master bedroom. You don't want any light typically at night. At least I don't, keeping me up. So you can have it be totally dark or somewhat dark where you get the time and the armed condition, or you can have some wallpaper images. So at this time, they are pre-canned images, but we're looking in the future to give you the ability to upload and download photos of your own. So stay tuned for that feature as well.
And you mentioned earlier that we've got a solution for those Simons in the field that are being threatened by the cellular sunset. This looks like the thing that will solve that problem.
Absolutely, Kevin. So, there was a way with a legacy BAT communicator to hook up on a Simon panel, a very basic arm-disarm scenario, but that was about it. So we realized we needed to do something here. So if you look in the upper right, it's just going to be a cellular option. If you're familiar with the Simon panel, this card is just going to plug right into the back of a Simon panel, an old Simon XT, XTI, or an XTI5, and there are hundreds of thousands of them out there. Okay? So you have a way to breathe life into those old Simon panels. So it is a Connect product. It's not technically a BAT Connect. It's the Connect XT cellular. It's got the M1 communicator, so we're category 4/5G ready out of the box. And it's the exact same app experience as the BAT Connect and the Connect Plus. Okay? So I can add the cellular card and get the home automation. There is an optional Z-Wave option here. So basically, if you want Z-Wave, you can get the card with Z-Wave. You don't want to take the step up to home automation Z-Wave. You don't have to order it that way. And just like with every panel that we have, any Connect product, you'll have the ability to give video as well. So those old Simon panels, and now you can update them to the full-blown Alula app experience with full zone status, bypassing, obviously arming and disarming, video, and home automation, and programming, and really programming and installation is just snap the card into the back of it. Very quick, very easy. So that'll be happening a little bit later on in March. We're targeting end of March for the Connect XT cellular communicator.
Yeah, there's just a ton of these out there in the field. It was Simon was a very popular panel. Some of our guys actually worked on it when they were at GE. And so we know there's a lot of them out there, and we know a lot of them are being threatened by the cellular sunset, which is it's a tremendous burden on some installers, but it can also be a tremendous opportunity. And I think we're giving you the tools here to make it a great opportunity where you could go out and handle all those Simon panels and get those customers onto a new platform for a long, long time into the future and not have to worry about those future cellular sunsets. So end of March, this is coming to the market, and it's going to be a game changer. We've got our new BAT-Connect panel or BAT-Connect communicator. Some people the question was, where's the antenna? Well, there's an internal antenna, but we've also got some external antenna options. Chris, tell me a little bit about why someone might want to use one of these antennas in a different install scenario.
Yeah, we just wanted to have, since we got our customer base's attention, we just want to make you aware that we've had these antenna options since day one with the BAT-Connect. Now, we do have the category M1 radio in there, which is a narrower, tight, strong bandwidth. You should get better in-home range, in-business range than you've ever had. But we understand that where some of these panels are mounted, like let's say it's a DSC panel down in the basement, well, that's typically where you're going to put the BAT-Connect unless you want a long wire run, and who wants to spend all day doing that? So bottom line is, starting in the upper left, the RE048, that's the antenna that comes with the BAT-Connect, and it is housed inside the BAT-Connect. If you're in a scenario where you need a little bit more range, and by the way, on Alula Connect, when you click on the BAT-Connect panel, we do give you a cellular strength reading, so you'll know even if you're off-site whether you might need a better antenna. You can check that remotely. Obviously, the BAT-Connect has LEDs on it. If you have someone on site, we can look right at it. We have a bar indication with LEDs that'll let you know. We want to be about 2 bars and higher. The paddle antenna gives you a little bit better option just because it's out of the enclosure. Okay, RE046 will give you a little bit better range if you need it, and that's just a matter of they're I don't want to say pre-drilled, but just take a screwdriver to the top of the bat. You'll pop out the hole where the paddle can go. We give the mounting hardware for that. If you need to remote the antenna just a little bit, we also have the RE036 and the RE036-0. So you can wall drop it if you need to, or you can run, that's about an 8-foot connector, same paddle antenna, but we give you a little bit of wire to get it. Maybe it's down in an electrical closet where the HVAC is. Maybe the BAT like we said on Honeywell Vista Networks panel, you're probably going to mount that within a couple of feet. Oh, you don't have to, but just to minimize wire run. This wire run's a little bit easier to make to get the antenna out of that maybe cluttered room. Maybe it's a bad RF spot. Maybe it's in the basement. So you can get it out of there a little bit better.
And we talked a lot about all the new features that we've added to BAT-Connect and that we'll be adding shortly. All that's possible because of remote firmware updates that we're able to do. So we're able to give that to your customers without you having to roll a truck. So, Chris, how do we make this possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So we automatically, it doesn't matter if it's on cell, it's on network, Wi-Fi, we'll roll these firmware updates out when we're ready on our end. You don't have to do anything on your end. But I do like to point out that you have the option on a Lula Connect to go to the panel in question. In this case, it's a BAT-Connect hooked up to a DSC. And we even have this on our Connect Plus, but we let you remotely check for a firmware update and do one right now. So where this can pop up sometimes where we see this is maybe the panel itself already got the firmware update and you're coming in after the fact with one of our touchpads we want to add to the system. Well, depending on how long that touchpad's been sitting on the shelf, because we also update the touchpads, but they got to be hooked up to a panel, right, to get them. So the scenario is, okay, the BAT, the Connect Plus, it's been out in the field for a while, works fine. It has the latest firmware, but my touchpad doesn't, okay? Just simply enroll the touchpad as you normally would to the panel and go on a Lula Connect and check for a firmware update. This will automatically send the touchpad the firmware update also, okay? We've added quite a bit of features, and we're always adding new features to the panels, but we talked about the talking and everything like that, and a couple of months ago we added video. That was another big one. So especially back then, there was a gap for a lot of dealers where they've had these touchpads where they're at the shelves of distribution or on your own shelves for a couple of months, might have missed that update that happens automatically because they weren't learned into a panel. The point of this slide is you have that option on a Lula Connect to check for a firmware update. And actually, you have this option as well through the touchpad. If the touchpad's learned into either a BAT-Connect or a Connect Plus, you can go into the touchpad itself and check for a firmware update too. But obviously, this option lets you do it without rolling a truck.
That's super convenient, Chris. Hey, we just went through a ton of material. Thank you, Chris, for the benefits of your expertise, but we've got a lot of people at home who are listening to this who have some questions. Chris, do you have a moment to stick around to answer a few of these questions?
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
All right, let's do it. Thank you all for joining us. We have got a record turnout here today. There's over 122 of you currently online. So I want to make sure to get to all your questions. Go ahead and get your questions into that chat box. I'll try to get to all of them. We've already got 38 questions in the queue, so I apologize in advance if we're not able to get to some late coming questions, but if you get them in now, I think we'll get to them. So might as well just start spooling them from the top. Chris, are you there? Are you ready to take these on?
Let's do it. Wish me luck.
Good luck, Chris. All right, we're going to start with Tom Hoffer. He's got a question. Is the BAT-Connect available yet for Concord 4 to reside on its bus?
Okay. The key word there is reside on its bus. We work with the Concord today with key switch arm and disarm. Yeah, I know that's not the answer most of you are looking for. Just talked to engineering a little bit ago. We are targeting second quarter, so next quarter for Concord release. Don't have a date for you, don't have a week for you, but know that it is in the works. You'll actually see a NAPCO release as well with the Gemini series. But for whatever reason, Concord's going to be one of the last ones that we do. But yes, next quarter, look for Concord support.
And we've got a question from Zachary around similar lines. When is the CAD-X firmware for the BAT-Connect going to come out?
Yeah, that's going to be in that. I know some of these questions rolled in before we started the presentation, but that was in the presentation. First week of March. Typically, the guys like to roll these out on like Thursday or Friday. If I were a betting man, that's probably what I would be betting on, that first week of March, Thursday or Friday. Yes, we will have network support. Another cool feature that I just found out about networks, version 1 and 2 support. So if you got some old V1s out there, you're still going to be in luck. I know the Bat LTE and the Bat Wi-Fi were not compatible with version 1, but we will be with version 2, or version 1 and 2 on networks, and we'll have virtual keypad out of the gate, if you will. So you'll have virtual keypad. I know there's a question coming up about DL900 software. That is a bit of a mystery. We're not going to have that right away. We're kind of waiting to see what happens. As you all know, what's going on with Interlogix if they keep DL900 around. But if it's gone, it's going away as far as a company. So that, I'm not quite sure if we're going to have DL900, but remember, you'll still have the virtual keypad, worst case scenario, but we're still trying to figure out what's going on with Interlogix and DL900, whether they're going to keep it around or not. But virtual keypad out of the gate.
All right, switching topics. Randy has a question around the touchpad. With the new voice and chime enunciation, will there be volume control of those?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this presentation talked a little bit about that too. So even before the talking, right, you had control of the beeping, and you still have that, but you'll have very similar. There's a whole section. I know we haven't released a feature yet, but I'm one of the beta testers on this. So play with it pretty extensively. Basically, when you go into the sound area of the touchpad, you'll have an area just for voice. So the voice volume is there. We talked about the quiet time. Yeah, you can really customize it. The cool part is it's on a per keypad basis. So I think we mentioned before, you can use 4 of these touchpads either on a Connect Plus or a BAT. So, maybe the master bedroom, you turn the talking off. The one by the front door, you turn it on. You want it nice and loud. Yeah, they're all customizable, including the volume control.
Excellent. That's a nice feature that they're by the keypad, because different rooms have different volume considerations. And we've got a question here from Lane asking, is the BAT-Connect compatible with the Vista 128 and all 8 partitions?
Okay, that's kind of a loaded question. Let me explain. And I know we got some other 128 questions, so maybe I'll knock them both out here. So that is part of the first week of March release. Yes, we will be 128 compatible. Full compatibility with a caveat. Because that panel is fairly large, those of you that work with it, user code management will be done via the virtual keypad, not through Alula Connect. There's just too many codes for us to effectively handle that. So short answer, yes, Vista 128 support, full app support, just like every other panel that we are bus compatible with, Honeywell, DSC, Network soon, Vista 128. Partition 1 control through the app. The other partitions, virtual keypad is your friend, okay? And on the 128, the code management will be done via the virtual keypad.
Okay, Kevin is asking about the BAT-Connect. Will you be able to use the BAT-Connect as internet only and enable the cell as needed?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've had that come up quite a bit. So short answer is today you are being charged for the cellular connection. We are working with Verizon and AT&T to have a workaround for this, and we hope to have this released soon. I know soon is a relative term. Stay tuned on this one. I will try to get some updates out to you via website, email on this. We are working with, the problem is that as soon as we activate a BAT, we get charged from Verizon and AT&T, but this is actively being worked on, looked at, and we hope to have a plan in place where you can just go Ethernet only. But as of right now, yeah, the cell is just part of the deal.
Yeah, and if you need to reach out to Chris for updates, you can see his email address right over there, chris.bartholomew@alula.net. Feel free to hit him up on that, and he can keep you apprised of all of our product roadmap. Next question, Chris. Bill asks, is the BAT-Connect compatible with all DSC products now?
Not all. Well, see, once again, compatible is a loaded question. We're compatible with any panel on tip and ring for forwarding signals to the central station. Any panel that has a programmable output, we can key switch arm and disarm. Okay, I know what you're probably getting at is, are we full app compatible, touchpad, everything? With the Power Series, we are. So your DSC 580, 1555, 5010, 5020, 1616, 1832, 1864, Power Series, we are fully compatible with app, soon to be key switch arming, DLS software we have. So yes, on the Power Series, fully compatible.
All right. Dwayne asks, will Alula keep its promise to include the GE Networks panels access on BAT-Connect? I think you may have mentioned this earlier, Chris.
Yep, first week of March.
First week of March, so just a couple weeks now, Dwayne, you'll have that GE Networks panel access. That's a big release coming in a couple weeks, so we're really excited about it. Kevin's got a question. When will it be compatible with the Concord panels?
Yeah, once again, we're targeting second quarter of this year. Well, once again, you could hook up key switch arm and disarm to a Concord right now and have video and home automation in the meantime. And another point about that is, you know, I know that's probably not the answer everybody's looking for, but if you had to get out there today and give the customer an app experience, as long as you hooked up the bus to the BAT, once we flip the switch on these panels, you won't have to roll a truck again. You've already got the wires in place. You know, once that firmware updates hits, it'll automatically switch over from the key switch scenario to the full compatibility. So keep that in mind too. Yeah, that's a great point, Chris, that you want to do the right connection so that even if it's not compatible right now, in a couple weeks when we got the firmware update, suddenly it's got a lot of new capabilities. So that's one of the benefits of these firmware pushes is it allows your customers to be on the latest and greatest technology without you having to roll a truck and revisit every time changes are needing to be made. So Thomas asks, virtual keypads for Vista panels on the portal. When will this be restored? Actually, that has been up and running on Vista for quite a while. If it's not working for you, you know, there's something going on, bus wire cross, this, that, or the other thing. You know, you can give me a buzz, shoot me an email, text support. But the Alula portal has had it up and running, you know, for a good 3-4 months now. It's up and a word about my next point was, if the end user wants it, I don't know if I mentioned this in the webinar, if the end user wants it on their app, we need to have keypad 8 enabled, not for Alula Connect web browser, but if the customer wants the app to have the virtual keypad on Honeywell Vista, keypad 8 must be enabled. I believe that is location 196. It's in the manual, but it's something we just added with that capability. But we should be good to go. I mean, I just went on this morning and checked it. Virtual keypad's working fine on Alula Connect, on our end anyway. Yeah, Thomas, go ahead and reach out to Chris Bartholomew at alula.net. Give us a little more information about what you're experiencing. I think we could probably troubleshoot that for you and get it solved by the end of the day. Sounds like it's a problem unique to you at this point. So we'll take care of that for you. Another Thomas, different Thomas, Mastriani, is asking, how does it compare to the Connect Plus? So how does the BAT-Connect compare to the Connect Plus experience? Yeah, it's really, it depends what you're trying to do. So with the BAT-Connect, you're keeping the existing hardware on site, right? So a customer already has a Honeywell, they already have a DSC, Networks, whatever. They're happy with the way it performs. They want to learn a new system, but you know, maybe it's going to sunset. Or they've never, because the panel's so old, they've never been able to offer an app. That's where the BAT comes in and does a great job of, number one, updating the keypad if you want to with a nice, beautiful-looking touchscreen that I can have voice on, do home automation, video, arm, disarm, of course. And also now I can give them an app experience on a panel that maybe they could never have, okay? So the BAT comes in where you're happy with the existing hardware, you know, whatever manufacturer you're working with, and either you just needed to communicate, you want to upgrade the keypad, you want to give them an app experience, video, home automation. The Connect Plus is our panel, Alula's panel, 96 zones, hardwire, wireless, same app experience as the BAT, touchscreen. So you know, for guys doing a takeover, it really is. I mean, that you can use a Connect Plus in a takeover situation, especially if they've got existing wireless like Honeywell, DSC, GE 2 gig NAPCO because you can put our translator card in a Connect Plus. So, okay, we'll rip out the guts. We'll take out the keypad. Let's say it's a DSC, right, with DSC wireless. We'll rip out the keypads. We'll take the CAN out, and we can use the existing hardwired zones. We've got a hardwire to wireless translator that we can utilize. And because they have wireless there, we'll just put the translator card in, and in programming we say, listen to DSC. And the keypads that we took out, keep the wire run because the touchpad can use the existing wire run to be powered. Okay. Now you're still at the other end. You're going to have to splice our transformer in at the other end. The keypads take about an amp of power. So if you're using 1, 2, 3, your DSC, you're not going to keep the DSC panel there because you ripped it out just to power a touchpad, and it's doubtful that you're going to get more than an amp out of that panel anyway. So you typically run a 4-conductor, twist them up, 2 of the pair. There's 2 spots in the back of the BAT-Connect. The wires just push in there. And then at the other end, down by the CAN, just splice in our transformer and plug it in. So either way, in a takeover situation, you got options either with a Connect Plus or a BAT-Connect.
Hey, Chris, let me just add on to that. Thomas, thank you for asking this question. This is one of the exciting things Alula is doing this year and that we're all very have a lot of energy around, which is the convergence of our BAT-Connect and our Connect Plus experience, both bringing you to that same great Alula interactive experience. So now whether you're doing a new install, whether you're doing a takeover, whether you're doing an upgrade, you're able to give that customer that same great modern Alula interactive experience on their app and on the touchpad. So you don't have to remember multiple different control schemes. You don't have to think about, wait a minute, is this customer a takeover or a new install? They can all be on the same platform. That's especially important as we're looking at this cellular sunset, where we're all going to be looking at having to replace a ton of cellular radios out there to keep these systems running. That's where the BAT-Connect comes in. You can add that camera, add that home automation, uplift that experience for them. And so now you're not just replacing the cellular radio, you're actually modernizing their entire security system. And oh, by the way, you're adding some RMR to that account. So it's a win-win for the customer and for you guys out there who are installing these products. So the ability for the Connect Plus and the BAT-Connect to deliver that same Alula interactive experience, that's the game changer here. It's really unifying this product line. So we've got a lot of different use cases, but we're driving you to that same great experience, and every one of your customers, regardless of the scenario, is going to have access to that great home automation, video, and interactive security experience. So great question, Thomas. Thomas had a follow-up. We get this one all the time, so let's just tag this one real quick there, Chris. When are we going to have control? When are we going to be Control4 compatible, speaking of home automation?
Unfortunately, I don't have a firm date for you. I know it is a roadmap item that we're looking at currently. My best guess is, or not, I don't want to say best guess, but the best thing I could say right now is if you want to shoot me an email, I can, once I get a more firm answer, it's being looked at, is what I'm hemming and hawing about, and we've had a lot of requests for it. It's not coming next month, but hopefully, sometime summertime, I'm guessing, we will have Control4 integration, but please don't quote me on that. I got to do a little more research on that one.
Yeah, we're probably not ready to publicly announce anything, but Chris has generously offered that if you send him an email, he can keep you updated. Let him know how many accounts you have that are interested in this feature, and we can make sure to keep you in mind and make sure we're giving you the latest updates on the progress in that front. Question comes in from Randy. With keypads added to products such as Honeywell that connect through the BAT device, if a customer discontinues monitoring, do the keypads continue to work?
Yeah. You probably not a ton of people doing it, but any Alula product, you can offer self-monitoring if you want to. Now, the panel itself really dictates whatever kind of trouble conditions you're going to have. So if you disconnect whatever on a Honeywell panel, and it spits out an error message that there's a fail to communicate, well, the BAT's going to communicate that too. So you just have to clear up on the Honeywell, the DSC side, whatever you need to clear up, if you take out a central station phone number or whatever, because, the BAT's going to communicate what Honeywell DSC networks tells it. But once you clear that up, clear up that trouble condition, yeah, it's fine without going to a central station. Putting in central station information on our end is optional. You don't have to. So yeah, you can be non-monitored if you want to.
You can be. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's an option.
It's an option.
It is an option. Question comes from Jim. Why does BAT-Connect suppress repeated alarm signals rather than letting the panel report what it's designed to report? I'm speaking specifically of the DSC connection. Our preference would be to preserve the output of the dialer verbatim. This should at least be an option in our opinion. Great question, Jim. Chris, what do you say to that?
Jim, you're not the only one that shares that opinion, and I hear that opinion daily. So I saw that question pop up, and I was frantically running around trying to get a firm answer on this. The short answer is yes, we are getting rid of that. Actually, I just tested this yesterday. We haven't gotten rid of it yet. Unfortunately, my contact here at Alula today, who would know the exact date that we're going to do that, is out. But yes, we are aware of that. We get that question almost daily here. It's a server change that we need to make on our end. It's not really panel specific to DSC or Honeywell. It works that way on a Connect Plus panel, which is ours as well. So what we're referring to, those that don't know, is basically if you trip the same zone within X amount of time, I believe the X amount of time is 3 to 5 minutes, we suppress that signal to the central station. We are getting rid of that. I just don't have a release date for you. So stay tuned on that. Give me a couple days on that. Shoot me an email. I should have a more firm answer for you as far as date that we are getting rid of that. But yes, we are going to get rid of that.
Great, that's good to know, and that's a great example of how responsive our roadmap is to our customers like you. So if there's something about the panel that you like or you don't like, or something you want or you don't want, let us know. We're constantly innovating. We've got a great engineering team, and as you can hear from what Chris just said, we take feedback and we incorporate that into the decisions we make from a panel architecture and an engineering perspective. So love to hear it. Keep that feedback coming. Speaking of which, we got one from Jesse. He's wondering, how would we integrate a video feed from cameras into the BAT-Connect? So Chris, I'm sure you'd love to talk about our video.
Absolutely. So we have a great video solution for you. We have Alula branded cameras. We actually have 4 of them. We have the ever popular doorbell. We've got an indoor mini, which is pretty price conscious, but still a great picture that can be moved around the home rather easily. We've got an outdoor bullet, and we've got an indoor 360 that can pan and tilt. All of them will work regardless if you have a BAT or a Connect Plus at all. We have a standalone video option. A lot of customers these days, they think a doorbell is their security system. If you can't upsell them to a real security system, well, a doorbell's better than nothing, right? So we do allow you to have a video-only solution with us. Now, tying into a BAT, if that's the specific question, works great either through the app. So you always have video through the app, but now adding the touch screen to a BAT on a compatible panel gives you video through the touch screen as well. Be able to answer the doorbell. All of our cameras are two-way. Great solution using our video in conjunction. You don't have to throw a touchscreen on there, but it's really a nice upsell opportunity to throw our video on there. So yes, we offer video, 4 camera options. A little more detail on the cameras. They're all Wi-Fi. You don't have to do Wi-Fi on 2 of them. You can get a hard cable to the outdoor bullet and the indoor 360. No, they're not PoE without an injector that you could throw on there, but in and of themselves, they're not PoE. The doorbell is 2.4 or 5 as far as a wireless signal. All the other cameras, 2.4. So that was maybe a little bit more of an answer than you needed, but more info is better, I think.
No, you're absolutely right, Chris. It's good to be talking about this. I like what you said about the doorbell. Certainly some of those millennials may not be ready for a full security system yet, but our system allows you to just put in a doorbell and get that kind of foot in the door, so to speak. And then, as that customer matures, I'm sure that they'll eventually want to be adding sensors and the full suite of services. But really having these cameras be able to work standalone, that also means that you can add them to any existing wired system when you put in that BAT-Connect. And that really provides that great upsell opportunity that Chris was talking about, that great upgradability that is so key as we look at the cellular sunset that's coming up. You don't want to just go in there and say that you're going to replace their cellular radio and then they have the same capabilities as before they scheduled that appointment. You want to be able to go in there and say, hey, look, we're going to give you an app experience. We're going to get some cameras on there so you can answer the door when you're away at work and make sure your packages don't go missing. You want to give all these modern security features that they're seeing on these TV commercials from some of these DIY products. You want to let them know that you could provide that. In fact, you could provide it with professional services that are way better than the commercials that they're seeing out there. So make sure to be always thinking about video and thinking about ways that you can add that to existing systems. It makes the system so much stickier. I've got video surveillance at my home. I use it multiple times a day. So it is really the thing that will delight your customers. We got a question from Andre. Is Canada support current or upcoming? Our neighbors to the north.
Canada support. Yeah, we work in Canada. I'm assuming this is a cellular connection. Our AT&T radio works up in Canada. I hope that is the question. I think it is. The AT&T version of both our Connect Plus and our BAT absolutely works up in Canada.
Yeah, and Andre, if you're asking not just from a technical perspective, we do have salespeople who are and technical people who will support you up in Canada. So send me an email if you're looking for specific contact information. I can direct you and make sure you get a call today. You can reach me at Kevin, Kevin, Hoffman, Hoffman, @alula.net, or you could just send an email over to Chris. You can see his written out over there. We'll make sure that you get in touch with our Canada support team. Next question comes to us from Thomas. Any plan to add Honeywell Compass to connect to Vista panels through the BAT-Connect?
Actually, we've already got it. We've had it for 3-4 months now. So the catch on using Compass, and we also have DLS5 support for DSC, is you must, it's free, it's on Alula Connect. Once you log in on Alula Connect, go to Dealer Resources. There is a Resources tab that you click on, and up will pop a screen that says, You Downloader, Download Me. You need to download You Downloader. You Downloader runs in the background with Compass and with the DSC software, DLS5. That is the gateway into your panel. Honeywell, it's fairly straightforward. You don't need any additional equipment. With DSC, you must also hook up their PC link cable from the panel to the BAT. So that's part of the deal too if you want to use DLS5 with DSC. You don't need it for Compass. So yeah, we've had that capability for a couple months now, but you do need You Downloader running in the background. Read the manual, I guess, is the best thing I can say. It's not hard. If I can do it, you can do it. I set it up myself, but there's a few steps that you got to go through on DSC. You got to put an IP address in, this setting, that setting. So just read the manual. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yes, we are compatible. And I'll throw this out there too, that remember, you have virtual keypad too. In fact, I was just doing a webinar this morning with one of our customers, and he had a DSC panel hooked up to a BAT. And I said, well, it's not going to be released yet until March. And I could not verify this, but he said, oh, it's working. So I think we snuck that one through. I was not able to verify it, but I'm going to take him at his word that we just released virtual keypad for DSC on the browser, according to my dealer. That I didn't have time to verify yet, but if not now, definitely the first week of March. But my point is, you can program everything with the virtual keypad. I get it. It's a little bit easier if you have Compass or DLS5, but last resort, you got the virtual keypad option too.
All right. Well, we've got questions continuing to stream in. We're going to try to get to all of them, but they are definitely piling up faster than we can get to them. So let's see if we can burn through a bunch of these real quick. Chris, we've got Planer asks, how new does a Vista panel need to be to connect to the BAT-Connect? I have many older panels out there and would like to offer this as an option.
Yeah, so at least on the, Honeywell, version 4 and higher on the following panels: Vista 15, 20, 21 IP, SafeWatch 3000, and soon to be the Vista 128. Basically, those are all AUI panels, and if you're a Honeywell guy, you know that that's where your Honeywell tuxedo goes. We use AUI 2, so that needs to be open, number 1. Okay, that's what gives us the full app capability without doing anything. You don't even need tip and ring. Okay, on earlier versions, like below version 4, on the panels that I just mentioned, we are compatible, but your app experience is the virtual keypad. So I'll repeat that: version 4 and higher on our compatibility list: 15, 20, 21 IP, SafeWatch 3000, Vista 128. You get full app experience. You can also add the virtual keypad if you want for the end user. It's a pop-out icon. I think we talked about it in the presentation, if they want to arm and disarm other than partition 1. Prior to version 4, it's going to be a virtual keypad experience for the end user. We are adding Vista 10 with the latest release, which is not an AUI panel. That will be also a virtual, the latest release being the first week of March push. Vista 10 will have the virtual keypad option. It won't be the full-blown because Vista 10 doesn't have AUI. The other panels, like a Vista 50 and the Vista this, that, and the others, my guess is, and it's not released yet, and I haven't tested it, and it's just a guess, you'll have a virtual keypad experience as long as you're hooked up to the bus on the other Vista panels, as in not on the compatibility list. There won't be the full-blown experience, but hey, at least you can do video and have the virtual keypad to do everything except home automation. You won't have a touch screen experience, but still pretty good for those old Honeywell panels.
Okay, question from Amanda. Are the individual zone notifications per user login or for the overall account?
Amanda, great question. And I had to go ask on this one, so I'm glad you asked. The short answer is it is by device, which I think is kind of cool. So if I, as dad, want to get a push notification when the front door's open, only my device will get it, and the kids and the wife will not. So it is device specific. It's actually an iOS thing and an Android thing, but yeah, it's by device. It's not a global feature. The push notifications on the sensor activity by device.
Great. We got a question from Frank Solomon. How you doing out there, Frank? Question is, the setting for notifications is in the app only and not on the touchpad?
Yes and no. How's that for an answer?
Please clarify.
The push notification. Yeah. I will clarify. So your notifications for the end user, I think I talked about it in the webinar. If not, I'm going to mention it now. Setting up notifications for the end user, it's either an email or a push. You can get a text. You can get a voice call, but you got to basically call tech support and ask for that capability. If you're okay with an email and a push, and I think most folks are these days, that can just happen. That's set up. One way is to do it on the Alula Connect website as the dealer. Okay, it's under the profile settings of the panel you're in. We just added a web interface for the end user. It's alulaconnect.com, but instead of logging in with installer credentials, they log in with their app credentials. They now can control that, the push notifications in the email, on the web browser. The touchpad has notifications, but it's just for the touchpads. So kind of like on an iPhone, when you swipe down, you'll see all your push notifications. On the touchpad, if you haven't tried this yet, give it a shot. Scroll down from the top, and if your notifications are enabled, that's where they are. So through the touchpad, it's notifications for the touchpad, not for the app.
Okay. A couple of these you may have answered already. Ron's asking, does BAT-Connect support all models of the DSC product line?
Yeah, once again, support is a loaded question. You're probably after full integration, right? That's the Power Series 580, 1555, 5010, 5020, 1616, 1832, 1864. I know there's a question coming up later. I'll just knock it out now. Neo, we are not fully bus capable with Neo. That would be a key switch arm, disarm scenario.
Okay, and then what about Planer's asking, Concord and Concord Express bus connections coming?
Yeah, that's the old second quarter. Express, not quite sure on the Express. Basically on the Concord, when GE released the home automation module, like I said, our engineers really haven't dug into it yet because it's a back burner item right now. Like I said, second quarter. But the thought is when Concord's home automation module became available for whatever Concord panel that was, that's probably how we're going to communicate with it. So if the Express, and I think the Express could, some of the later versions, my GE days were long ago, but I think the Express could use the home automation module. If it could, you're probably going to be okay, but that is a very much an educated guess as of to right now, which versions it's going to be compatible with. I'm thinking when they added home automation support with the home automation module, that's going to be the cutoff.
Okay, Jason asks, any intention of removing the requirement of ring and tip when connecting to DSC panels?
Nah, that's really Honeywell. The Vista is the only one we're able to get away with that on. The 15, 20, 21 IP, SafeWise 3000, and the 128. Everything else, even networks, Concord, I'm imagining too, you're going to have to bring tip and ring out there too.
Okay, Brad asks, does the NX panel need more than the 4-wire bus wiring to communicate with central station and download with DL900?
Actually, networks is 3 wires. So you will need 3 wires. So 2 of them are just to power the BAT, and then it's just 1 bus wire on the networks, and you will need tip and ring for networks. So 5 wires.
Following up on that, Frank asks, once the NX panel is up and running, can I remove the existing LCD keypad and just use the Alula touchpad? So I've heard, Chris, you talk about this, so this is a great question for you to tackle with these guys.
Could you? Yeah, you could, but you hear the hesitation in my voice. We highly recommend you keep at least 1 native keypad on site. And I know we talked about this, this is a DSC thing, I get it, but since we're talking about keypads, if you want us to read zone names on a DSC panel, you have to keep at least 1 full English keypad on site because DSC stores zone names in the keypad. Networks, Honeywell, anybody else, if there's a problem on site that you needed to address, you can't use the touchpad to go in there and, add a zone or add more delay time. So we recommend you keep at least 1 native keypad, put it in the can, right? Just keep it on site somewhere just in case you have to troubleshoot later on. Would it work? Would the BAT work without a native keypad? Yeah, it would, but just to be safe, other than the DSC exception where if you want us to pull zone names, you need to keep that keypad there. So that's my answer on that, is it's always a good idea to keep at least 1 native keypad on site.
Okay, good idea. Gregory asks, with the Vista 128 interface, will that fully support all of the user codes? I know in the past there's been a 50 user mark, and I'm making sure it's fully capable.
Yeah, I think this question popped up before, and I actually had to run over to the engineers to get a little clarification, and that's when they told me that we will do user code management, but it's through the virtual keypad. You won't be able to do, on the 128, you'll do your coding through the virtual keypad, not through the Alula Connect codes section on the 128. I think there was a question before or after coming up, I'll address now, partition support. And just like with the other Vista panels, the app gives you, the native Alula app, without jumping into the virtual keypad, is partition 1 control. The touchpad is partition 1 control. Virtual keypad gives you your other partitions.
Okay. Jason is asking about how these firmware updates work, so this is a great way to explain that process. He asks, will this firmware update push be pushed through the BAT-Connect to the touchpad
and likewise pushed through the Connect Plus to the touchpad. So how do we get that firmware update out to those touchpads?
Yeah, I'll give you a shorter answer, then I'm going to give you a little bit longer answer at the end. Short answer is when we turn the switch on for these updates on our end, we just push them out. You don't have to do anything. Yes, so they hit the BAT, they hit the Connect Plus, over cell, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, doesn't matter, with a caveat that I'm going to get to in a second. So short answer is yes. If the touchpad is already enrolled, the BAT or the Connect Plus will push the update to the touchpad also. So I hope that answers that part, but I think I talked about in the seminar earlier that the problem that can happen is, okay, I've got a brand new Connect Plus, a BAT, and when you fire that guy up, it automatically touches our servers, and if there's an update ready, we send the update when you power up. Well, you haven't enrolled the touchpad yet. You can't, right, until the panel's powered up. So as soon as you power up, bang, it gets it asks for the update. So, and then the update happens typically, and then you enroll the keypad. Well, the keypad didn't get the update because the update happened at power up. So that's where you can go to the website and request the firmware update on Alula Connect, or just power cycle again, because the keypad will already be enrolled, or go into the keypad itself. You go to settings, it's going to ask you for your code by default, 1234, and then go to panel, and then you'll have an option to check for a firmware update. So once the keypad's enrolled, you can do it right from the keypad. You can power cycle, that forces it to look for another firmware update. Or I just like going right to the web browser and bang, just do it right there. And you'll see on the touchpad firmware update in progress, right? If it's getting the update. I know there's a question coming up about how do I know that the update happened with the panel. When the update is happening on a Connect Plus, it's the bottom LED light. You know, you got the series of LED lights on the right side. If that guy is flashing, it's doing an update, okay? Now, you can still do whatever you need to do, arm, disarm, program the panel, but it's telling you, hey, I'm getting an update. The touchpad, it's pretty simple. It'll just say, I'm getting an update. The BAT-Connect also has an update LED. If it's solid, and same thing with the Connect Plus, if it's solid, it means everything's good. If it's blinking, BAT-Connect also has the blinking light on the update LED. Oh, the long answer. I know we're running short on time, but if you have very old touchpads, as in they're not video ready yet, and we're talking, this thing's probably been on the shelf for 3-4 months, but they might be out there, and especially the old style touchpads, they were not able to get the video update through the BAT. You had to hook them up to a Connect Plus, okay? Now, hopefully that we've filtered out these old ones, and so have you. We have here at Alula, but if you got some old touchpad collecting dust on the shelf and you want to look at video through a BAT-Connect, you're probably going to have to hook it up to a Connect Plus first to get that update. More information, email me. Okay.
Yeah, we had a couple other questions come in. One of them was about Control 4. We've already kind of talked about some of these, but if I inadvertently, if you didn't get an answer to your question, please just reach out to Chris Bartholomew. I'm trying to skip through a few of these because I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of them by the end of our session here. So I'm just going to make sure we get to the most important ones. But yeah, we'll definitely answer your questions if you want to reach out offline. So Kurt is asking, presumably you need the existing panel's installer code to take over the panel and get zone names info et al.
Yes and no. How's that for an answer?
Okay.
Honeywell, maybe. Honeywell is the only kind of caveat to this. When a BAT powers up, it does the Honeywell backdoor, and I think it's star 20. Honeywell guys, you know what it is. The BAT actually sends that to the Honeywell panel. So in a Honeywell scenario, if you don't know the installer code, you're probably fine. The only problem would be if somebody used Compass and locked out local programming, then we're out of luck. Okay? But because Honeywell allows you to do whatever command it is at power up to bypass the installer code, that's what the BAT does, so you don't need it. That's Honeywell. DSC, networks, everybody else, you need the installer code. Because before you power up the BAT, you got to get the panel ready. And like with DSC, you got to go in there and program about 6-7 things. Okay, you got to turn on contact ID, you got to turn on opening and closing reports. You got to make sure master code lockout's turned off, and you need the installer code to do that. Okay, so Honeywell, it's not that big of a deal unless they locked out local programming with Compass, with all the other panels. If you want the full app experience, yeah, we need to get in there and into programming with the installer code.
All right, question from Ezekiel. Do you have the option for a duress code? Also, if the system is disarmed, is there a way to still activate the duress code?
Yeah, so I had to run over and talk to engineering about this one. Good question. It's really panel dependent. So if that panel X, let's say it's DSC, if in the user code attribute it sends a duress command, if you will, the BAT will respond to it. And you can use the BAT to put the duress code in, as long as that host panel is programmed and set up with the duress capability, and that is a user. I'm not a DSC expert, but if one of their codes has the ability to turn on the duress feature, yeah, we will respond to it. As far as Kevin, you can read the second part of that question for me.
Oh boy, you're going to challenge me now.
I think it
also,
was,
if the system is disarmed, is there a way to still activate the duress code?
If that panel allows that, then yes, you can do it through the BAT-Connect. Because remember, the programming of all of, especially with the BAT things, it's all about the host panel. The BAT is just really a slave communicator for that host panel. So if the host panel is set up to do that, and our codes are in sync, which, the BAT doesn't work, and those who work with the BAT, you're probably aware of this. If your codes are in sync, meaning the master code in the BAT matches the master code on Alula, then yes, we should be able to do that. But it's really panel dependent.
Okay. Frank asks, is the wallpaper in place of the black screen when the touchpad sleeps? So you showed that diagram, one with the black screen
good question.
For sleeping. Yeah.
Can be. So my house, I got 4 touch screens. Master bedroom, totally dark. I don't like it keeping me awake at night. All the other touchpads have wallpaper. Looks cool, I think. But you could also do black screen with just time and arming state. So there's really 3 choices. Totally dark, wallpaper, or black screen with time and arming level.
And Kenneth asks, are communications encrypted between devices?
Our devices, absolutely. Now, if it's DSC, Honeywell, how their wireless works, whatever, who knows? I mean, I know their wireless isn't encrypted, but I think the question is more about our communication to our servers and central station. Yes, everything's 100% 128-bit AES encrypted. If it's our Alula sensors that you're using on a Connect Plus, they're all encrypted. Our wireless technology is called Cryptics. Everything's AES 128-bit encrypted from our servers to the central station, from our panel to our servers. Yes, everything's encrypted on our side.
Got it. And we've had a question from Donald. We've heard this on our Facebook installer group. If you're not a member of it, please go to Facebook and search for Alula Pro Installer Group. We'd be happy to have you there. But Donald is asking, there's a problem with the touchpad and speaking to the doorbell, the volume is too low. This is something I've heard too. Chris, how are we fixing that right now?
Yeah, so the short answer to, you're right, it is, and it's a problem we've identified, and I believe we've turned that capability off in the interim to listen. I'm not sure if we pushed that out yet, but yeah, we've identified that. It's part of the reason it was a limitation of we use a 7-inch Android device. The speaker in there is poor quality, so we are amplifying that currently. So yes, we are addressing that problem as we speak. It was a known issue, if you will, but we just released it knowing that we were going to push out a firmware update. So we are addressing that. I don't have a timetable on that for you, whether it's going to be the March update, the first week of March, or after that. But yeah, we are going to fix that, and you'll get a louder experience for not only the doorbell but your cameras as well. So yes, known bug. It's being addressed right now.
Got it. Kenneth asks, can you extend the external antenna on the panel?
Yes, you can. If you remember one of the last slides, We have about an 8-foot one that you can use, but by no means is that the only antenna that you need. So if you need a 30, 40, 50-footer, use whatever you got. And the type of connector that it is, and I'm pausing in case you want to write this down, MMCX is the connector type. So whether you need to get in, buy an adapter somewhere or just get a 30, 40-foot MMCX antenna, MMCX is the connector type. That's the connector type on the new M1 radio. So yes, you can remote it even further, but it's going to be a third party. I think our max one is about 8 feet.
Okay. Here's a good question from Randy. You mentioned the new enunciation feature on the touchpad. With the enunciation update, who programs the word choices? Is it the installing company or the end user?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. You don't, and I was kind of thrown for a loop when I was testing this. The touchpad itself, it has a vocabulary in it, and it's pretty extensive. So the words that it doesn't recognize, and I trip just about everything in my house, and I got pretty standard names. But if it doesn't recognize it, it just says the letter. But there hasn't been anything that I've used so far that it couldn't speak. So you don't have to program it. It just sees you program zone names, right, on Alula Connect. So whatever you program there, if it's able to speak it, and I haven't seen that it's been tripped up. Yes, now, if I'm not telling anybody to do this, but if somebody put some colorful language in there, it probably wouldn't be able to speak it, but it would spell it out, is how it works. So nothing you need to do on your end to have the touchpad talk. It just automatically does it.
Okay. Brandon asks, is this presentation recorded so I can share it with my coworkers? Thank you for asking, Brandon. We would love for you to share it with your coworkers. Yes, we're recording this presentation. It should be available tomorrow on alula.com/webinars, or you could visit our YouTube page at youtube.com/alula. And you'll find not just this webinar, but all of our previous webinars there. So feel free to dig in. Jason asks, will there be a Wi-Fi IP standalone internet communicator as an alternative device to the BAT-Connect?
You can never say never, but because the BAT has Wi-Fi built into it already, it's there. Yeah, you got Ethernet and you got cell, but currently there are no plans to offer, just Wi-Fi or just cell or just Ethernet. Like I said, we're looking at adjusting the pricing where we can, turn off the cell, but the BAT as it stands right now is, what you're going to see going forward. I think once you get the ability to not be charged for cell, which is in the pipeline, then really it's a standalone Wi-Fi/Ethernet communicator in and of itself.
Okay, we got a few more questions here. Amanda asks, is there a way to link accounts like a customer's home and a separate business to allow convenient remote access without logging in and out to switch views?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all in how you set it up. So this question popped up yesterday on the Facebook chat. So let's say I have the person, Joe Schmo, right? Joe Schmo is my master user, and Joe Schmo has a Connect Plus in his house. He also wants a BAT-Connect hooked up to his Vista panel in the office. Okay, not a big deal. When you want to bring the BAT-Connect online, you log in to Alula Connect as the installer and you search for Joe Schmo, whatever his username is. Okay? Under his username, you go to Account Devices. And you click on Account Devices, you will see his Connect Plus. In the upper right corner, there's going to be a blue box that says Add New Device. Click on that, enter the MAC and the CRC number as you normally would, but now the BAT-Connect will be tied to Joe Schmo, and it will be tied to his BAT-Connect, and it will be tied to his Connect Plus. And in the app, you just tap up top on the app, and a drop-down box will show all of the things that are under Joe Schmo's account. If you're on the Facebook chat group, this was explained. Well, I explained it, so it was explained pretty well. That's a joke. Yesterday on the chat. But if you need more help, shoot me an email. But yeah, the short answer is absolutely you can do it.
Yeah, I just put a link to our Facebook group in the chat box there. So go ahead and click through to that. Join the group. You'll be able to see Chris's much more extensive answer to this question. And, you know, if we're between webinars, if you got a question for Chris, go ahead and just post it there. He's checking it a couple times a day. So thank you for all your efforts there, Chris.
No problem.
Question from Bassam. He's asking about compatibility with Google, Alexa, and also if this, then that.
So short answer, yes. More in-depth answer, arm, disarm, system status as of right now. In the pipeline is home automation control, but we're not there quite yet. So right now you can arm, disarm, and do system status with those devices.
And question from Bruce, is there a good option to replace an Interlogix hub panel? Hybrid with wire and wireless zones. What would you recommend for all those Interlogix dealers out there who are kind of looking around trying to figure out where to go next with that Interlogix?
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm obviously biased because I work for Alula, but I was at Interlogix for 13 years. And if we're talking like a Concord or an UltraSync, the Connect Plus is a great option because we can take over those wireless GE zones. We've got the hardwired translator. So think of your the hardwired translator. If we're talking about a Concord, you know, they have the hardwire input module. Well, we have a hardwire input module. The only difference is you don't have to get 4 wires to ours. You just plug it in, and then wirelessly we shoot those hardwired zones 8 at a time back to the Connect Plus. If it's an, and I don't know a ton about UltraSync. That was kind of after my time at GE. But if you need a bunch of partitions, there I would go, you know what? If it's a Concord or a Networks, throw a BAT in there. Keep the Concord, keep the Networks. Concord, I think, can do 6 partitions. Networks, 8. E doesn't, it's been a while, but I think 8 at least. But put a BAT in there, right? Keep the hardware that you have and just use the BAT for the communication for the app, virtual keypad for the partition stuff, and you should be rocking and rolling. But if it's, you know, if it's just one partition, I'd strongly look at, yeah, you could keep a Concord up and running and put a BAT on there. But the Connect Plus is a great option as well. And either way, you can use touchscreen with it, video, home automation. So I think we've got you more than covered with the Interlogix shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of great products that solve any Interlogix scenario. As Chris mentioned, we've got a lot of people here who worked at Interlogix and GE, and so we're well familiar with those products. If you have any questions, just shoot an email to Chris Bartholomew. He can actually troubleshoot your specific installation need, and we can point you to the right products depending on your scenario. But yeah, we are the answer to your Interlogix problems, so please bring those problems to us, and we will get them solved for you. Question comes in from Ezekiel. I've seen this from a couple people. Gary McCutcheon also asked the same question, so want to make sure we get an answer to this one. With the BAT CDMA in the field, will they continue to work through the internet after the cellular sunset?
Absolutely. Yeah, we all know 3G is going away, you know, starting at this moment, depending on where the tower is located. So yeah, as long as you got Ethernet or Wi-Fi on a BAT Wi-Fi, well, BAT Wi-Fi didn't have cell, so it'd be a BAT LTE scenario. Yeah, absolutely. As long as the Ethernet's there, you're good. You know, if the day comes where they do want to go dual path again, you know, you're not in such a great hurry to get out there and swap it out. You know, but an easy upgrade to a BAT-Connect if they wanted to add cell, but yeah, it'll still operate on Ethernet, no problem.
Yeah, so there's BAT CDMAs. If they were connected by Ethernet, they'll have that one path of communication.
Yeah, they automatically
even when the CDMA stops working.
Once the cell stops, it'll switch over.
Yeah, so that's one of the great parts of Alula being IP first is the internet's never going to sunset. You'll always have that backup means of communicating, and so that's a great feature that helps us get around cellular sunsets. But that said, your back may not be against the wall. We would still recommend getting out there, replacing that CDMA with a Cat M1 card. That's going to take you through the next 4G LTE sunset all the way into 5G. We're compatible with 5G. You'll never have to worry about it again, and you'll preserve that cellular path of communication. Also got all kinds of great advantages in terms of harder to install areas. We've got a great white paper on Cat M1 and its benefits. feel free to email me at kevin.hoffman@alula.net, and I will get that into your hands. Okay, we're coming around the bend to the final questions here. Ray Palasek asks, will the doorbell record sound in the future? So we've got it so that you can check clips on your phone. You can see what happened there in the past, but right now it's just video. Are we going to have some sound on there as well?
Well, it kind of does right now. So let's talk about what goes on when you hit the doorbell. So if I'm walking up to your doorbell, I mean, that's a motion capture event. So unless I was able to crawl on the floor and not have the doorbell see me, you're going to get the audio recorded just from the motion clip itself. But technically, does it record video on a doorbell push? No, but the idea is, well, you triggered the motion when you walked up to the doorbell. So that's the technical answer is no, it doesn't when you press the doorbell, but chances are you've already triggered the motion capture there, and you can get the audio in the clip, if that makes sense.
Totally. Larry Hall, he's helping us out here. He said, I'd like to chime in on the question about text notifications. There is a way to do that by email depending on the user's carrier. So, yeah, we've got a lot of flexibility there in Alula Connect. So whatever you're trying to do, just let us know. Send us an email. We'll figure out a way to do it. Let's see. Coming up on the we'll make this the last question. Coming to us from Richard Metz. Hey, Richard, seeing you in the installer group. Thanks for being with us there. Question is, will the BAT update the date and time of the NX panel, or do we have to do that manually?
That through the BAT will be done manually. If it were a Connect Plus, our servers shoot the time and date out. But on a BAT Connect, yeah, you got to set the time manually. Remember you got the virtual keypad, you can do it remotely, compass, whatever. But yeah, you got to set that on your end.
Great, excellent. Well, thank you for taking the time, Chris. We've exceeded our allotted time by a few minutes here. So if there's any other questions, I know I had to skip a few of them. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Send an email to chris.bartholomew@alula.net. You can always call 1-888-88-ALULA and get instant access to our customer service techs who will be able to troubleshoot you through any issue that you may be having there. Thank you all for joining us for this installment of the Alula webinar series. As I've mentioned a couple times during this broadcast, we do have that Facebook group. That's the best place to find us during the week between webinars. It's kind of like what we do here on the chat box, but in real time. Your fellow installers can help troubleshoot there. So please, we're stronger together. Go ahead and jump onto Facebook and join us there. We'd love to have you. So thank you all for staying tuned, and we look forward to seeing you in future webinars as Alula continues to grow. Thank you so much, and thank you, Chris.
No problem. Thanks, everybody.
This concludes today's call. Thank you for your participation.